Welcome, Black Hollywood Live fans. On today's Fit Club, we talk diet blindness, a 73-year-old gives birth, and more with actress and comedian Jill Michele Melean. Stay tuned.
You're tuned into Black Hollywood Live, the world's first digital broadcast network devoted entirely to urban entertainment and pop culture. Tune in right now.
Welcome, Fit Clubbers. We are back. As always, my name is Shaka Smith, and I'm joined by my lovely guest co-host, Miss Ranella Ferrer.
Hello,
What's up? You may have seen her on E's Revenge Body. Yes. And of course, we are joined by my lovely guest, Miss Jill Michele Melean.
Hello everybody.
You may recognize her from Mad TV or Reno 911,
yes.
and she is one of the fittest comedians out there.
Yes.
And so she is going to give us a little bit of rundown of what she goes through and how she's kept together through all the years. But we're going to talk about some great stories and kind of dig in there. And one of the first ones is a little troubling. It's about a teenage guy who has gone blind after eating Pringles, white bread, and French fries, and slices of processed ham and sausage. So, I mean, like you guys, I laughed a little bit.
And
like,
then
oh my
you're
God.
like, oh, that's bad.
Yeah.
Why are we blaming Pringles? Where did that come from?
So it's crazy. In University of Bristol, they actually printed this in the Annals of Internal Medicine. So it's not just like a news story. This is in a journal, the whole deal.
Right.
He, at 14 years old, had just been subsisting off of this type of food. You know, he'd go to his local fish and chips in the UK, and he said he always had the French fries there, you know, never the fish. But and then he went for the processed hams and sausages, and so he goes in at 14, and normal BMI, normal height, no malnutrition, but low B12 and anemia.
Okay.
Comes in a year later, they say, all right, just kind of improve those. Comes in a year later, a little bit of hearing loss and vision loss. That's when I'd have been like, the alarms are blaring.
Yeah.
That would have been it to me. But again, they didn't see anything that could pinpoint, but by 17, he's blind, irreversible, suffered from low copper, low selenium, had high zinc, low vitamin B12, and low bone density.
And he says 100% that was his diet. He didn't take anything else.
It's called nutritional optic neuropathy.
Wow.
So,
I didn't even know that could happen. You can go blind from food.
From bad diet.
Well, I know bad diet causes a lot of diseases, but
blindness.
I didn't really know that.
And so it happens in a lot of countries where people are malnourished. It'll also happen if you have a particular gut disease that you can't absorb nutrients. So in the U.S. and in the U.K. you probably don't even think about things like this. So here this guy is subsisting on this, and it's 17, so it's really like blind at 17 just for something so preventable.
Right.
Diet-wise, like, what have you had any nutritional deficiencies that you've had to overcome? And then how did you address those?
Yes, actually, this is a great story because I know doctors are like about it, but like about 5 years ago, my thyroid started being all crazy. I got my levels back, and they're like, "You have hyperthyroidism." I'm like, what the hell is that?
Me
and
too.
did you?
Years ago. I didn't know.
Well, I actually, this is the greatest story. I'm so happy you brought this up because they gave me a pill, and I had to take it the same time every day on an empty stomach. Well, I forget. Of
course.
And you're busy, you do things, and I was like, this is ridiculous. So I started looking at my diet, and I went, what do I overeat on? And it was sushi. And look, we have the Pacific Ocean, Japan, with the all of this, the tsunami, all this stuff. So I just said, let me take out fish out of my diet, because I was already vegetarian. I was like pescatarian.
Yeah.
And so I took fish out of my diet, and 3 months later, I go back for my checkup, and she goes, okay, all your levels look good. Just keep doing your pill. And I said, well, guess what? And I was so excited.
You're like, I haven't been taking the pill.
I go, I haven't been taking the pill. She stopped. She was with her clipboard. She stopped. She looked up at me, and she walked out of the room. She didn't even say, that's amazing, that's odd. She completely just left. And I went, oh my gosh, they want us to be dependent on these things, and our diet can really fix stuff. Yeah. So the fish, all that mercury and all that stuff, it leveled me out. So now I'm now I'm 100% vegan, but at that time I just became vegetarian. Yeah. And then I noticed that dairy, what the complications with dairy, and then I pulled that out, and actually my energy went up and depression went away.
Yeah.
That was a really interesting thing because I suffer from that because, we're in Hollywood.
Yeah. I mean, even if you're not in Hollywood, I think it's just kids these days, the internet.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the internet, right?
Social media.
We see it all now, so it can have those triggers.
Totally.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's crazy. But to know what are they doing with Pringles? Are they suing? What are they?
Yeah, or what are they doing?
Well, I mean, I think it's just that he was having all these bad things at once, and I'm sure it was in excess. So if that's your diet between 0 and like 17, yeah, I mean, I would expect to go blind. But I think we don't look at our diet enough. We have these symptoms, and they're like,
oh, happened for Cheetos.
Well, I have a feeling you guys.
Takis?
I think you could substitute in the Cheetos or Takis. I don't think it was the Pringles was the magic blindness ingredient. But,
Just processed stuff. Yeah.
But we don't look to our diet at all. And again, like he went in and they're going, oh, you have low this, low that, low that. Supplement.
Yeah.
You're not thinking, wait a minute, the diet is something that needs to be changed immediately to get those nutrients. Right. So I hopefully that's a cautionary tale for us all to really look to that first,
Absolutely. Have you guys ever done raw, like just completely raw?
I tried it, lasted 2 days.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know what a raw vegan diet was.
You know what? Actually, I technically have tried raw. I wouldn't say I've never tried it, but there was, when I was dieting for competition, I tried like smoothie diets. So I guess my smoothie diet was technically raw, and that was great.
Well, raw's the one, we're straight from source, where it's not compromised.
Yeah.
So it can't be mixed or frozen or anything like that. It's just like literally like from the garden to your mouth.
Oh no! So I did frozen fruit for the smoothies.
So that's I agree. I think that's great. Like I always tell people when I'm training them, if they need to like kickstart something, I'm like, just do a smoothie day. Just do a smoothie day. Just don't go over a certain amount of calories, and you're good.
See, I did that for like 7 days or like 10 days.
I tried that.
Yeah, and you didn't like it.
Well, coming from a person that eats still meat, unfortunately, I was trying to transition, and then it lasted 2 days because I was going on this 20-day raw vegan diet.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
and it lasted.
I tried.
Oh! I was like, what happened by day 10?
Yeah,
oh no,
like,
it lasted 2. Oh, okay.
I mean, I did it every other day, and I was like, no, I'm starting over again. I still have the stuff, the herbal stuff, but I have to start over again. It's a work in progress.
But I think if you were like, this poor boy was already seeing symptoms of weird things going on. I mean, you would hope that the doctor, the first thing would say, like, look at your diet.
Yeah.
Because I always feel too, like, I love my French fries. I love, like, bad things here and there, But then I also know too, like, if something's going on with my body, like, I love sushi like crazy. But something's going on, I'm like, all right, I'd rather do that and be strict about that than have to be dependent on a pill for the rest of my life, and then the pill has other side effects and blah blah blah. So I made a logical explanation in my brain, so it like trained my brain, and therefore it wasn't that hard to do.
And you knew that was the connection. I think a lot of us are like, oh, problem, fix it. We're not like, wait a minute, I'm ingesting something that's causing this problem, or not ingesting the right things that are causing this problem. So I don't know. We're going to need that cautionary tale.
He gets cured. There should gotta be a cure for that. Reversible.
Well, if you guys are looking for motivation, actually I know you two don't lack in motivation at all. But if you're looking for extra motivation, they say tracking exercise is more effective with competition. And so they did this study. 602 overweight and obese people, and they put them in different groups: competition group, the control group, and the different rewards group. And they found the competition group, and they did steps. So versus the control group, the competition group did 920 steps more, and the different rewards group did 600 steps more. But more than that, 3 months after the study was over, the competition group did 600 more steps, while the control group and the different rewards group didn't do anything.
Right.
So,
but you know what? I was going to say, that's actually true, because I'm actually currently doing this boot camp class, and I think part of the reason why I like going there is because the coach, it's for Ultimate Athlete Boot Camp, and he makes us compete. But he also does it too. Obviously, I'm like still. Everyone's like been doing that for like 2-3 years, and I'm like the unfit person that's always in the last when we go running. So he puts me.
I know that feel. I'm there.
So
now.
I mean, it's only been like a month and a half, but in my mind, because I feel like I'm competitive, I want to keep going and going, and then at the end of it, I hate it every time before I start, because I get scared of the stuff that he has us doing. Like, he makes us run, see who goes first, and it's like in my mind, I'm like, no, I got this, I can do this. But at the end of the class, in my head, I'm like, gosh, I was next to those fit people. Like, just like I'm sitting here next to you guys. It's like, if they could do it, I can do it, obviously at my certain level of, health or fitness. But it's true. I think it helps though, because it makes me want to go more and more.
Yeah, so. I do like personal competitive competitions with myself, and I also do that with each individual client, because I also know that we're all different ranges. Everybody's so different. That's why, like, when the keto came out, I'm just like, fine, it's fine, but you really have to be specific on who you are, and form that diet for who you are. So competitive for me, I have little mini competitions with myself all the time. You know, we were even talking, and now he's like giving me another one before. He's like, I get up at 5 a.m. and I'm accomplished everything by 9, and I was like, damn it, I'm gonna do that. You know, it's like,
wow.
But it's great. But no, for sure,
I think it does help. It also depends on the person. I think there's some people out there that definitely wants better for themselves, and if they get to your mind, then that does help.
Yeah.
So, because and then seeing other people like do it too, it helps. Like even for us at Revenge Body, when we do every Sunday we do a workout with Leon at Gloveworks, and we like. The good thing is we're all kind of like on the same fitness level, but to see my other castmates, I'm like, dude, I'm on season 1 and they're on season 3 and I'm still here. I'm supposed to be here and have a 6-pack by now, obviously.
And it's like it's a friendly competition. It's not like not malicious or anything
like that. But it
makes
you feel more motivated and pushes yourself more.
Totally. I think that's why group fitness is so great. That people in group fitness could get this like fit family, I call it, where it's a camaraderie, which you're all like pushing each other and pushing. Because if you're like by yourself, you notice that those people that are like doing weights by themselves or on the treadmill, they're on their phone, they're taking selfies, you know.
Especially now we have all these distractions, right?
Yeah, totally.
And so this was in JAMA, the Journal of JAMA Internal Medicine, and right now behavioral science is a really big thing. And so if you're not into the competitive thing, they say losing rewards is actually more motivational than gaining rewards. So they did part of the study was also giving participants 70 points at the beginning of the week, and if they didn't make their workout, they lost 10 points. Then they also did one where you all started off in the silver group, and if you didn't make your workout, you went to the bronze group, or if you made the workout, you went to the platinum group. Now, losing status motivated people more than gaining status. So that's another thing that might help motivate you or your group of friends that are trying to work out.
Mine is ours is if you skip make a left turn instead of a right. If the coach tells you, okay, use your right foot first and you use your left, he makes me do like 5 up downs, and then if you miss again, you do another 10 like up downs. So that's my motivation. I'm like,
hell, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Punishment's your motivation.
That's my motivation. I'm not missing that step again.
But I that's actually a really good study though, because I've said that even with when you're training children or
which
a dog,
we all are at some point.
I feel like that.
But think about it, like all these kids have iPads and iPhones and all this kind of stuff. But if you took that away, then they're gonna listen.
Right.
If you just keep giving them things and rewarding them constantly, they're like, oh my gosh, yeah, whatever. But if you go, give it to me, you know, they're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like then it shifts something. I mean, some of them will punch you in the face, but you know.
Because you learn to live without too if it's like too hard. Like, I'll give you a
Yeah.
Nintendo if you do 10 workouts, and the second workout's too tough. You're like, do I need that Nintendo?
Yeah,
Not really.
Right. I wish we could do that with men. I'm like, I will not give you, but they're like, no, let me find another one. That's LA.
So LA.
Right.
Well, that may be LA, but you have plenty of time, Ornella, because there is a lady in India who recently gave birth at 73.
She gives me hope. She gives me hope.
I don't want you to think the window is closing.
I'm telling you, nowadays, like the health. I told people this. I was just telling people this like not too long ago. I'm like, I wish us as women we have a longer time span to have children, because men can have children any age, anytime.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and it's like it sucks because you see like especially like celebrities who are single still like in their 40s, 50s or whatever, and then now they have to like.
And these women literally in their 50s look amazing.
Yeah.
J-Lo.
I know.
Right.
What? Hello. You know. So it's like there should. I'm so glad that that's happened in India.
Yeah.
Obviously, she's probably eting healthy. I wonder what it is.
Probably healthier
But I
than
don't
hair,
know
right?
why would you even want children at that age?
Well, here's the thing. So her name is Aramati Mangayama, and her husband E. Raja Rao, who's 80.
Wow, gives me hope.
They want, they had been married since 1962. No kid, been trying, never had.
It's their first time.
And so the doctor said, look, she meets all the requirements for the IVF. I'll do just one round.
What?
And on the first round, she gets the twins. And so he says she's very confident now. She's more confident than ever in her life.
Oh my
and she's looking forward to the
God.
next chapter of her life with the kids.
Don't your eggs go bad, or is that a myth? Just to get them frozen? Is that?
How does that work
yeah.
with IVF?
I don't know. I have
to find that out.
We have to.
Because they take out your eggs, right? Maybe she just had some.
She must.
And the guy too.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure they use his sperm, but I'm saying like, but I thought the eggs at some point were just done, right?
But and then I thought too with sperm with men too. It's like
well, they're not as great. But what did you say?
We're all confused.
Wait. I know with sperm, your sperm quality goes down, but you can obviously still have kids.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Men in their 90s still have kids.
See, but that's my point.
Yeah. But the sperm quality goes down. The increase of like birth defects are up.
Okay.
But it's still
and these
possible.
Kids are okay?
As far as we know right now, the kids are fine. The kids are
fine. I would
so.
hope to, like, you never know. She may live 100-something. Because nowadays, that's a Guinness World of Record.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we were talking about before the show. Is like I feel like we're in that generation that we could all be living to 140, 150.
Yeah.
So 73 may not be.
Lord.
I mean, but we don't know
I want to look good. I want to look like this forever.
So,
we'll get maybe a little bit sexier, but yeah. You know?
But do we think there's any cruelty here at 73 and 80?
I feel bad for the children. That's mainly now. You think about it because like when they're 20, when your parents are coming to your games or coming
that
to like
all depends on the health of the parents.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean I've met like some 70-year-olds who still I remember this man, he's still single and he's 70, never been married, don't want to have kids, just broke up with his girlfriend, and I was like, he said, he didn't want to call his
on
girlfriend.
On to the next 70. On to the next.
And he's still like jumping and jiving. And I was like, so it all depends, and that's what I'm saying. It's all nowadays. There's healthy food. Everyone's going vegan and organic. So you never know how that's going to affect our life.
Our idea is completely changing
in
what's
like
possible
20, 30
when.
years, and people are mixing with like genes, and it could be a different thing.
And I think because also too, I was talking with my father about this because I'd recently met a 60-year-old man that I was like, oh, he's so cute, and then I found out he was 60. I was like, that's like my dad's age. So I was like, oh my god.
So you said
yes. So no, like just can't. So, like it's my dad. My dad would be friends with him. Oh, that's weird. Like creepy. No.
They're friends and you.
Yeah.
We're at this stage where we could date you or your dad. So
Yeah.
you better. That's so true.
But I brought it up to him. I was like, Dad, guess what happened? And he goes, I think it's the water. And he talks like this. I think it was the water. And I'm like, I think you're right, because their water back then was really bad. And everybody, and we're like all, like you said, organic. We're eating better, drinking better water.
Right.
Like we're putting better things in our bodies. Going back to Mr. Pringles,
Right.
It's like, I think that the education is there. We can Google everything.
Right.
Yeah.
And
If you get Botox now, preserve your skin or
preserve
whatever.
it. 20-year-olds preserve
Well,
it.
I mean, but that's what it is. I have friends that are in their 20s getting Botox. I'm like, why would you need Botox now? And they're like, oh, the doctor's saying preventative Botox, so I'll never get wrinkles.
Right.
I'm still not sure where I am on that. I was like, I don't know if that makes sense to me.
There hasn't been any weird cases, and it's been out for a while now. So that's interesting, because that should come out like after like 10 years of a new product.
But I feel like there haven't been any weird cases, but there've been a lot of weird faces.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And some people get one round, they look normal, and then they get more and more and more, and then their faces like.
Well, and a lot of times too, when the younger, the teens and the 20s get the Botox, they look older.
Yeah, they look like they look like they go from 22 to 30, and then just
they're
weird.
like, oh wow, exactly. That's so true. Well, we'll never know. Wow, congratulations to them, though.
Yeah.
I mean, now they're gonna have to live healthier, and I wonder how that complication too is during that pregnancy, because obviously for 73-year-old woman.
Well, they did test her to make sure she was viable, so maybe she's had like great genes for carrying children.
I wonder what the sickness is and like stuff like that.
What country was that again?
India.
Oh, okay.
So we'll I guess we'll pay close attention and find
out.
out.
I love Indian food. I'm gonna start eating Indian food.
Yes. Makes me sweat.
See, there you
go. Speaking of sweating, more intense exercise is linked to a better sex life. Exploratory study says. And I'm like, exploratory study.
You look good.
That's right.
Did we need a study on this? But in case we did. So, of course, they say aerobic exercise is good. One thing that's very important for sex is your blood flow. And the optimal amount of exercise for that the CDC recommends is 150 minutes of moderate intense exercise a week, or 75 minutes of vigorous exercise. And the 150 minutes can be just walking or light walking or biking. 75 minutes of vigorous exercise would be jogging or playing basketball or soccer game. So that's all it takes is to improve. And so the study that they actually did came out of the Journal of Sexual Medicine, and they found that men...
Journal of Sexual Medicine.
Everyone's Googling that right now. Journal of Sexual Medicine. So the men that can run a 7-minute mile pace for 4.5 hours per week saw a 23% reduced odds of erectile dysfunction. Women who could do 4 hours per week of a 7-minute mile pace had 30% reduced odds of female sexual dysfunction. So it was actually...
That's why. I'm just kidding.
You're like, I'm good. You're like, I've been running.
That's what
I've been running. My circle is almost closed.
Right, and we have matching Fitbit, by the way. How cute is that?
That's awesome.
Anyway.
Have you ever had clients or anyone come to you and say, this is what I specifically want to improve upon?
Yeah, but as far as sexual...
No, I want to improve on my... No, I'm saying. They said, I want to improve on my sex life. How do I get to that point?
I haven't gotten sex life, but I've gotten sexy, which is the same thing. Yeah. And I think when people are more connected to their body, then they feel sexy.
Yeah.
Meaning, like, even like women, they'll come in, and I had one client come in the first session with her. I told her, I will not work with you if you continue to put yourself down. I go, I cannot deal with this. And I said, I know this is our first session together, but I will not work with you any prior or afterwards. And she was like, oh my God, am I putting myself down? And I went, yeah, the whole time.
It's energy too.
Yeah. So once she made that stop, and then when we came in, the whole workouts was about connection, because she had no connection to her body. And this woman would sweat just on tiny little trigger muscles to pull her in and get her connected. And now she's lost weight naturally because of that connection. She feels better, and she definitely feels sexier.
Yeah.
That is for sure. She's picking up those men, I tell you.
I hear that all the time, and I've been trying to connect with my abs. Like, come on.
But there is a sexiness that you feel when you feel strong, when you feel fit. You know, especially if you leave the gym. Normally you feel like 100% the minute you walk out, right?
Mm-hmm. Or you have gym rage. Either way.
I'm gonna kill somebody.
Right. No, but that is true. You do feel sexier, obviously, after the gym. I remember, especially taking like I said, the boot camp class I've been taking. It's like after it's like, oh, I feel good. I just did it with those sexy people.
Yeah.
So that's extra motivation if anyone was out there looking for something.
Yes.
One thing that I do after my workout is I use mouthwash. And so I was like perturbed to read this study, is that mouthwash after exercise might actually counter the beneficial effects of blood pressure after a workout. And so they say mouthwash is actually, it was a small study, 15 men, 8 women, but they're saying that it looks like mouthwash can actually stop the synthesis of nitrates by the bacteria in the mouth, and that may be linked to losing the positive effects of the workout on the blood pressure and on the circulation to the legs.
Interesting, but question.
Yeah.
Why do you use a mouthwash every time after you work out? I've never. I mean, that's like
no. They have it in the gym.
Amazing that you do.
It's in the gym.
It is in the gym, but like, oh, okay.
Oh, so I'm gonna use it. I'm like, oh,
so
it's
that way
free.
when you talk to somebody else in the next section, yes, that's true. That is true.
If it's in LA, it's free. I'm going to use it.
Soap.
Right, that is true.
Yeah, it's like I'm paying for all this mouthwash.
That is true.
I should take it to go, but
I'm surprised you haven't. You probably haven't.
I steal the tampons. I do.
We all do. I think we do. We do extra ones. Yes.
I can't relate to that, but
right.
But yeah, it was just surprising for me just to hear about that.
Yeah.
So what are you gonna do now?
Well, I'm going to limit when I use the mouthwash. I'm going to have it like a couple hours after my workout, not right away. I want those benefits of the blood pressure and the circulation. And they don't. And what the scary part is, they're not sure why this happens. They even know that your oral bacteria is linked to your heart health. We've known that for a while, but they still don't know why or the process by which it's happening. So, which kind of underscored to me, there's still a lot we just don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
So a lot of it we have to be our best line of defense, but we're still waiting for science to catch up on a lot of stuff too.
So I suggest everyone to keep using it, so we don't have stinky breath people running around the gym.
Well, they're saying you actually want to avoid antibacterial. I don't know if there's there are like natural mouthwashes, but they're saying you want to avoid antibacterial mouthwash if it's not prescribed by a medical professional.
I wonder if it's the same for gum, because if it has the same type of you know, because when I was, like I said, when I was doing Revenge Body Diet, like for 3.5 months straight, I was very strict, but I didn't chew gum specifically because my trainer even said at that time, like, there's sugar in everything. If there's sugar in it, and if you know, just avoid it as much as possible, like down to eating pineapples or just certain.
So you didn't even chew gum?
No, I just brush my teeth.
Oh no,
you know?
Gum is what I use when I can't have sugar because that kind of gives you a little pop of like flavor
also makes
and
you
taste.
hungrier, no? I mean, it depends.
No, for me, it satisfies the craving.
When you're like eating, well, you know, obviously I was like overweight, so like it reminds me of eating something. So that was the problem. But I was really scared to chew gum for like 3.5 months.
Oh no. Well, it is good not to have it during a workout because it can limit your airflow. But other than that, go for it, I say.
Right. So I wonder if that's the same for gum then too.
Yeah.
I also think gum's not that great for a workout because then like you're doing something, you're grinding.
Yes,
yeah.
right.
You know?
And you're like, that's extra energy that should be going to your legs.
You're like
Get some TMJ all up in there.
So I'm going to be very careful with my mouthwash, but I was wondering for you, like over the years, you've been at this thing, Mad TV. Were you always fit, and then did you have to adjust what you did based on the information that's out there?
Yeah, I mean, as a kid, I've always been an athlete because I've been hyperactive, and you know, they told I had ADHD, and my mom was like, whatever, she's just hyperactive. She put a huge trampoline in the backyard. She was like, just go. She did. That was my medicine.
Yeah. Here's the Adderall.
I was like, I don't know. And it helped. It helped me focus on work. So even like when I'm like over back in Miami, and I'll like see my nephew. My nephew was having trouble focusing, and I was like, give me 20. And he goes, what are you talking about? I was like, get on the floor and give me 20 push-ups. And he goes, you're so weird. I'm like, seriously? And he did it, and they got back up, and he solved the problem. And I was like, you know, because it helps. It helps. It levels everything out and stuff. But so yeah, like through the years, I just, you know, kind of changed my workouts, made them more effective. I think for me, it's more connection and more intention in the workouts as opposed to just going through it and just being like, woo, yay, or whatever.
Right.
Just like to be like more precise with my movements, more like squeezing a little bit more, because the more you're connected and present, you get results faster. Yeah. So I'm always like, I don't want to spend 10 hours in the gym. You know, I love the gym, I love the people, but I'm like, I got other things to do. Yeah. Right. So if I can get less time more effectively, then that's how I do it now. So yeah.
And what do you do for your self-care routine? Just, I know as a comic, you're responsible for making other people happy, right?
Yeah.
And for making them laugh. And then as an actor, you know, you got to go through the ups and downs of living in LA. How do you do that with your fitness? What do you have any go-to things that you do to make sure that you're always balanced?
Right,
yeah, I think, you know, actually fitness is what balanced me out, because as a comic, you're making people laugh and it's this beautiful joy, but you're also getting people drunk and, you know, and you're the cause of maybe one night stands, you know, things like that. You're like, oh my gosh. But so
babies were conceived because of you.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
The lady in India must have watched my special. But fitness, what it does is it, you know, I went from this mic to this mic, and there's still a stage, there's still lights, and what's beautiful about it is that I'm very motivational in my classes, and I get you out of that negative feeling thoughts and get you in a place of gratitude, because I feel like we can release that through ourselves and make room for more great things to come in. So I have this incredible like intention before I get there, and I always leave my stuff out of the door. Right. And the stuff that I say, I'm like a conduit for this stuff, and I'm watching these people like go hard, and I'm going hard with them, and I'm saying these things, and I'm always like, oh, that was good. Oh, I'm gonna remember that, you know. And
that's amazing.
It's beautiful. So it actually helped me. So it is like my own meditation on there too. And I tell them, they always go, thank you so much afterwards, and I'm like, thank you, because without them, I wouldn't have I wouldn't want to show up. Like if I didn't have a crowd to work with, and now that they really know me and I have a great following, they're with me. I could tell them like to do this, and they're doing it, and
that's
it's like
amazing.
Yeah,
like I've been amazed on how like comedians just have this like perfect timing too, I think. And it's just like, where does that come from? Like when you're on stage, and do you sometimes, obviously you have the scripts in your head, but like, do you just freestyle, and like, how does it just, is it just a natural thing like that? I just think it's amazing. Like, you guys can tell jokes. And
I learned from some great mentors, and they're always, and the same thing goes when you're, even as a trainer, you know, you want to make sure that you have a script, And
Right.
then, but then you go off of it. Because once you know you have that as a go-to in your back
Right.
pocket, then you're in the moment and you can really be in that moment, because then if there's a little lack of a weird, pause or something, you go right back to that script. So you know what to do. But I love when people engage. Like, people are always like, oh, I hate hecklers, whatever. I'm like, oh my God, they're the best. Because I'm an improviser. So I love to improv. Like on Reno 911, that's why it was like my favorite show to work on. And then when I wrote This Is Meg, this movie that was on Hulu, I wrote it in the vein of Reno 911, where it's like you have a chunk of what you need to do, the beginning, middle, and end, and then you let the players improvise in between there. And it makes you listen more, it makes you more connected. It's just, and it's like you have it's this give and take, and you're creating together. So when an audience person goes out and then you know how you create with them, and then you go to a go-to in your script and you slam them with it, everyone's like, whoa! Because it seems like it was totally came out of nowhere,
That's amazing.
And you like duplicate that in the fitness room too.
Yes, totally. One time the music went out, and all the air went out, everything went out, and I just stood there for a second, and I went, well, it's packed class, like, oh. All right, guys, let's do some drills. Let's go. And everyone called it Zen spin afterwards. They were like, this was amazing.
Because it was all in silence.
All in silence. You hear people going, and hear the bikes going,
wow.
and I would have them do drills, and then have them do, it was so cool. It was actually a really cool class. Would I want to do that again? Absolutely not. But
it lived in that space. It was perfect.
Right. So when you think of, I guess in the personal life, are you naturally funny? You find everything funny, and you just I don't know, I just think comedians, so obviously you have to be lighthearted to think about those jokes and find amusement in little things, you know what I mean?
Well, it's funny because it's the opposite. We go dark and then we make it funny. So when you see something, you're like, oh, like that, you immediately go, oh, and then you're like, so that's, so the more real and the darker it is, the actual better joke it is. Because you're able, I find the funny in it as a healing process. So even as a comic, my first 5 years, I did a lot of impressions because of Mad TV, and that's what I kind of lived behind.
Right.
And then as you start to have more experiences in life, and I got a little older, then you're like, oh, I should talk about that, but I'm scared to talk about that. And then when you start talking about it, it becomes your best jokes, because everyone can relate to that, and they're like, oh my gosh, and you're able to, it's almost a healing process in the same time, because you're seeing them laugh, they're healing, you're healing, and that's why I always say the stage is the therapy, for comics. It is our therapy.
Right, and then I read that you were also the first Latin American on Mad TV, which is amazing.
Yes.
That was
Thank you. That was really cool.
Why do you think that, so when the Latin American community of comedians, why do you think there's a lack of that on Mad TV, or was it just not as popular then for Latin Americans to be comedians? You know what I mean?
I think I came in, I started doing stand-up 20 years ago.
Oh my
I was a
God.
kid. I was like a baby.
I know.
And there wasn't many females. There was only
and
very
a female too.
and very charactery. They were very, very charactery. And I look like a white girl, so they're like, "What are you?"
Right.
The white Latina.
Yeah, that's why I made my special White Latina, because it's like the minute I put hoops on and I put darker lips, and I thought like these, they're like, "Oh, it's so stupid." But yeah, there wasn't many. My role models were like Ellen and Brett Butler and Phyllis Diller and Joan Rivers. So there wasn't these now there's a ton of beautiful girls that are doing stand-up. Right. I don't agree with all the material, because it was dude, seriously? Come on. But yeah, so I had to really kind of find my voice and find my rhino skin, because all the guys were like, what are you doing here? What is this? And now I'm one of the guys and everything. But in the Latin market, to answer that question, there is still not a lot, which is really bizarre. We're still not 100%, because if they ask for Latin, they kind of want that stereotype of Latin. Yes. And it's like, okay, we have J-Lo, we have Shakira, we have people that are breaking through a little bit, and it's opening the doors a little bit, but we're still not there yet. We're still not there. So it's that's why for me, I went to more producing and whatever, because I'm like, I'm not going to rely on you guys to make it happen for me. Like, I've had success, which I'm really grateful for, and I've continued to be able to be an actor in this business. But at the same time, you go, I want to see my future, and I want to be in charge of my future. So
and create,
and create. So
and right now you're working on Witness Infection.
Oh my gosh, the best! I can't wait for you guys to see this movie. It's a comedy horror film. I wrote it. Yes, and I wrote it with another. He's a white Latino. Is Carlos Rocky from Reno 911. He's also Rocco from Rocco's Modern Life, and he is hilarious. And we used to tour together for like 4 years. We toured, and he's like my brother. He was my brother on screen, on stage. He's awesome. And so we wrote this comedy horror because we love horror movies. Like, we just love them. Crazy. And we shot it. We have like this amazing cast, like Aaron Hayes, Rob Belushi, Tara Strong, Maurice LaMarche. It's like Hollywood Tell. Like, it's an amazing cast, and like our dream cast. Yeah. And we shot it, funded it, made it happen. And now it's in post, and so we'll be starting screenings in October, and then hopefully it'll be like one of those sleeper successes. Right. We're calling it like the Shaun of the Dead for the American public. Like, it's that kind of like a fun ride, and I can't wait for you guys to see it.
Yes. I think the last thing I saw was like maybe Scary Movie was like a comedy horror. It was
Did you? What did you see?
Like Scary movie.
Yes. Yeah. So it's more like, I would say more like Scream, where it's funny, but it's really scary. It's really frightening. And then this is the best way I could describe it, because when I saw the first cut, I was sitting there in the screening room and I went, oh my God.
And you felt it.
I felt it. I went, this is like if John Hughes made a horror film.
Oh, nice.
And for all the young kids out there, John Hughes is like 16 Candles, Breakfast Club. It's like that kind of feel where there's so much heart, but then it's like really funny and then really scary.
And then legit scary.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And then This Is Meg, you can get that on Amazon Prime now?
Yeah, you can get it on Amazon Prime now, and we just like relaunched. Another platform's going to be picking it up. That one it's like a little tiny film that I made, and I just wanted to do it because I wanted to tell the story. So many people ask me, what is it like to be a female comedian? Yeah. And so this director came to me and he was like, let's do like something like based on your life. And he starts pitching these ideas, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. What I want to do is show the relationships that you have in Los Angeles when you're a female comedian. And I said, that I think is the most important. So I took the dynamic of like Seinfeld, and you know how like Seinfeld, he was the through line, but then all the people that came in, it was really about them when they came in. And so that's what I did. And the greatest thing is that I called my friends that I've worked with on different shows and film, and I said, hey, if I wrote you something, would you show up? And they went, yeah, of course.
I'll be there.
And that's how I was able to write it. I wrote them in mind, and I created these characters for them, and everyone had a blast. Like, and so from then I was like, all right, you know what? I know how to make some money as doing independent film, and eventually I would, studio is where I want to go, but I was like, let's do it. And then that's why Carlos came to me and we did the comedy horror. So it's the next level. This is way bigger budget.
There's also that joy of just being able to know I can produce and create my vision and have it be something that I want. Yeah,
but amazing. It's very, like, if you guys watch it, it's very raw indie. Like, I even pulled all the music out. I wanted scenes to sit a little longer because I wanted to feel the awkwardness of what it's like to be LA. There's music, but a lot of it's pulled out.
Wow, okay.
So it's one of those like anxiety type of I get anxiety when I watch it. And I was like, God, it just happened already. Like, what is it?
What is going on?
Right.
It makes comedy better too. Give it like when comedy's a train wreck and there's silence, it's kind of cool. It hits harder.
Yes, you're like, ooh.
So what are the challenges you go through as a woman, like a comedian? Like, what? I mean, do you obviously you said earlier that you were being Latina American and Mad TV. You were also one of the few women that was a comedian.
Yes.
Was it different? Like the men treated you differently, or did you have to like, okay, let me show you how much funnier I am, or why I belong here? You know, like
I think absolutely, because I if you guys have noticed, there's a trend with these beautiful women coming on as comics now that they're very sexy and they're sexy.
I have noticed.
And that's true.
And it's a little frustrating, but I go, okay, whatever. You know, that's
you're
fine.
Sexy and hot, so yes.
But that's what happened. So when I first got into stand up and was on the road, it was all that hitting on you and that all that sexist stuff, and you're just like, you know, just because I say foul stuff on stage or
Right.
I'm edgy or whatever doesn't give you the right to do that to me. So I'm very clever, even though it's edgy. It's a clever way of doing it. So I've really tried hard to be that for women and to show you that you can be funny without being raunchy. You know, there's a difference of edgy and raunchy. You know, there's the go-to, which we all know how to make people laugh. That's not the mission. The mission is for make people think. You have to have a voice and say something. Yes. So I applaud them because, you know, they're getting great stuff or whatever, and I'm all about supporting women, but it doesn't, hopefully they'll hit a certain point where they're like, okay, now that I've made my mark here, I have a voice. Now this is where I'm at. So yeah, so it's a still, there's a frustration still, and now that I'm a little bit older, there's more respect, but it's still,
it's still there. You're right. What are you gonna do? I just thought that. Just use it in your comedy. Like, this guy just hit on me in backstage again. Next.
Get him off tour.
Seriously.
Oh man.
Even the girls now, hello. You're like, wait, but you're straight. I don't care.
Right. You never know.
2019. But we got to do our Fit Club 5, where we ask you 5 rapid fire questions.
Oh my God, this is so nerve-wracking.
And you just say what's on your mind.
All right.
Oh my God, it's Rocky.
Let me know when we're ready.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Last person you text.
My sister.
Dream dinner guest.
Jesus.
The last meal that you had.
That's so exciting. The last meal I had. Oh, polenta and mushrooms and onions with spaghetti sauce.
Oh, she's legit. Wow.
Right, that's healthy.
Okay.
I'm surprised it's not squash like pasta. But favorite junk food?
French fries.
Oh, if you were on death row, what would be your last meal?
On death row? Well, if I'm gonna die, I might as well.
Well,
If you're death row,
if I'm death row, I might as well go out with a stomach ache and I'll say mac and cheese. I don't even eat cheese, but I'm gonna do it.
amazing.
The last one. And I have one for you, actually. Favorite impression that you've done?
My favorite is Drew Barrymore. She's my favorite. Do you guys?
Oh, I can hear it.
Do we get a little Drew? Can we get some?
I am so excited to
Oh
be here.
my God.
I mean, you guys gave me water and an energy drink. I mean, this is incredible.
Oh
Thanks.
my God.
If you guys are listening on iTunes, that was Drew. She just came in real quick. Oh my God, that was incredible.
Thank you guys so much.
I got to thank you so much for being here. This was awesome.
You're
you,
awesome.
Jilly.
Fun.
You guys are awesome. As always, my name is Shaka Smith. You guys can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at Shaka Strong. Where can they find you, Miss Ranella?
You guys can find me on Ranella Rocks, RANELLA ROCKS on Instagram, also Twitter, and just Google Ranella. I don't think there's a lot of Ranellas in the world.
And where can they find you?
They can find me at Jilly Online on all social media platforms, and then JillyOnline.com. And then, guys, make sure if you go to JillyOnline.com, you'll see all my stuff with White Latina, and get on Amazon Prime members. It's free for you guys.
Thank you so much for joining
Thank you
us.
so
Thank you.
much. So
Thank you,
proud of
guys.
you.
See you guys next week.
On behalf of our BHL staff, we would like to thank you for tuning in to Black Hollywood Live, the world's first digital broadcast network devoted entirely to urban entertainment and pop culture. Check out our Black Hollywood Live YouTube page for even more great programming and amazing content, and be sure to subscribe and like our channel when you do. I'm your BHL host, Nakia Monet, and you can find me on all social media at Kiki Boom Boom or at Black Hollywood Live. Black Hollywood Live, Hollywood redefined.